I'm calling for Ami Levin. He's the director of the Europe department at the Foreign Trade Administration. So the floor is yours.
Toda, thank you very much. Boker Tov, good morning everyone. My name is Ami. Before I'm calling the panelists on stage, I would like to thank the organizers, Gili in particular for organizing this and for inviting us again. I will explain a bit afterwards during the discussion what exactly is it that we are doing, but we're going to talk a little bit about what the public sector does, the governments and other organizations. So with that, I would like to call on stage Markus Haas. He's the head of Advantage Austria here in Israel, Nir Shaked from Izerd, and Mr. Lucas Sieber from the Greater Zurich area. Here you are, Lucas. So please join me on stage. I thought we had 20 minutes, but the clock is ticking, so we have less than that. So, hello, welcome, shalom. I think the title of this panel now is what the government can do for startups, that is how you can get services, business development services for a project, basically free of charge, that is from the public sector to you as entrepreneurs. And since we are focusing on the DACH area this morning, we're going to hear from speakers from Austria and Switzerland this time. Germany, I think, is overrepresented anyway, so... and of course, we're going to give the spotlight also to what Israel is doing from the government side in order to help the different startups, companies, etc. So, Markus, why don't we start with you? In order, please give us a bit of intro, what is that you're doing, and then we can follow up a little bit about the details of your programs.
Toda Rabba, Avi. So I represent Advantage Austria, יתרון אוסטריה, אבל יש לא רק יתרון אחד, יש יתרונות הרבה לאוסטריה. But קודם כל, first of all, I wanted to tell you a little joke. You were talking about schnitzel before, and יש בדיחה, unfortunately it only works in Hebrew. יש בדיחה על שניצל מווינה. אז שניצל משקה את הגן. אז אמר לו משהו, אתה משקה? והשניצל, לא, אני אוכל.
מצחיק.
Okay. Anyway, so there's a lot of advantages in Austria, apart from finding the best schnitzel who waters the garden. We do have funding on all levels, from the state level to city level to the regional level. I think we can talk a lot about which funding you get at which point, but let me just highlight a few events and highlights that we're going to have in the next couple of months for startups. So by the end of this month, actually, our Minister of Commerce is coming to Israel, and since the question was also before, where's the big areas that we're interested in. So her focus will be digital health. So digital health is one of them. Then moving on, we're going to have a scouting day ourselves. It's going to be online. And we as Advantage Austria have the advantage, again, to be part of the Chamber of Commerce in Austria and the embassy here, which gives us this double function. And we do scouting for 17 big Austrian corporates. So whatever it is, from insurance, over broadcasting, over mobility providers, there's lots of topics. And in April, end of April, we'll do the scouting day online. And we invite you all to participate. Then that's April. In May, we have the Vienna Up, which is a startup festival in Vienna. There's also those welcome packages available from Daniel Kladek from the Vienna Business Agency that he mentioned before. Then in June, we've got the Impact Days. Impact Days is for social entrepreneurs and startups in this field. Later on that year, we have a retail tech day, and with the Austrian Retail Association, there's software days, and one thing I would like to mention as well is that you don't even need to go to Austria to be in touch with us, because Blue Minds, an investor group, has just won a tender from the Israeli Innovation Authority for an accelerator program. So we're basically here on the ground to work with you.
Great. Thank you very much, Marcus. Lucas, please.
Thank you so much for having us. My name is Lucas Sieber. I'm representing the greater Zurich area, Switzerland's largest investment support and tax accounting organization. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I'm today here with my colleague, Zurich-based Rolf, there he is, as well as Corinne from Zurich and Dalit, also from Zurich. Well, what we do is quite simple. We help companies to expand and grow in Switzerland, particularly in Zurich and surrounding states. We basically cover not only Zurich, but also the surrounding states in Switzerland. Well, as a startup, as basically any company, what you need to be successful, you need capital, you need clients, and you need talents. We're not so good when it comes to capital, but a lot of Swiss organizations that are here can help you, like Kickstart Acceleration, F10, and others. However, we can help you with talent and we can help you with clients. Let me elaborate on that a little bit. When it comes to talent, Zurich built up within the last 15 years one of the strongest positions in Europe. We have, for instance, the largest R&D labs of Google outside of the United States, more than 4,000 employees these days. The same is true for Oracle, Facebook, Apple, Palantir, you name it. They're all in Zurich. They're all in Zurich for research. Clients, well, Switzerland is in a very good position to be home to the highest concentration of Fortune 500 companies. In fact, there is 2 per million residents of Switzerland. Don't ask me how many there are. Well, in fact, there is 8.5 million, so there's about 17 Fortune 500. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they're all super accessible. As you know, Switzerland is tiny. We can connect you to the local research organizations, to the local universities. The organization that I'm representing here is set up public-privately, meaning that on the private side we are being supported by 35 plus leading companies, among the globally leading banks, among the globally leading insurance companies, as well as the Europe #1 university, ETH Zurich and University of Zurich. And this, of course, gives us the ability to connect you to research talent. Well, let me briefly touch on the verticals where we're really strong. Well, I mentioned it with Google and others. Software is certainly one of the strongholds of Switzerland traditionally. AI is one of the keywords these days, and should you be interested in learning more about AI in Switzerland, Dalit is certainly in a very good position to give you more information on the AI capabilities. We have a booth out there. We don't have a banner, however, we have a lot of chocolate, so please stop by. Other verticals outside of AI and software include life science. 9 out of 10 leading life science companies worldwide have major operations in the greater Zurich area. And last but not least, another key vertical for us is blockchain, digital assets, crypto. We've helped from Ethereum to Cardano to Ripple and to set up operations in Switzerland, particularly in Zug and Zurich. And with that, I give the floor to you.
I think I'm not needed here, but thank you, Austria and Switzerland, for bringing this weather also with you to this panel. Nir, of course, we'd like to hear from you and what is it that they're doing for entrepreneurs. And since I hope that there are many startups here in the crowd, it should be interesting to hear about developments in the specific aids and programs that your organization provides. And if I may, what is new in this regard in the last 2 or 3 years?
Well, so what's the newest is there's a new European framework program, and I brought a few slides if we can project them, display them. Yeah. So, so first of all, ISERD it stands for Israel Europe Research and Innovation Directorate. It's the government body that is responsible for all matters related to the European Framework Program. And what we do, our job is to maximize Israelis' participation in the European Framework Program. And what's new is that we have a new program. It began in 2022. It will end in 2027. And it's here ever since the 80s. Israel is a member, is an associated country since 1996. And the main goals of Horizon Europe is to make Europe lead the world scientific research, solve global challenges with research and innovation solutions like cure Alzheimer's, beat cancer, move to alternative energies, to alternative fuels, and create new markets and new jobs in Europe, and Israel is included in that. And it offers a budget of 95 billion euros for 7 years, and those funds will be granted through competitive calls. And can we move to the next slide, please?
Can we move to the next slide? Is that possible?
Or do we have like?
We have a ticket.
Yeah, great. So thank you. So the main principle and the most important thing to understand about Horizon Europe is and why it's so relevant to this event today that promotes business making and collaborations between Israeli entities, Israeli startups, and entities in Europe, in the DACH countries, is as follows. So at least minimum 3 independent entities established in 3 different countries form together a group that addresses a challenge that is described in a call for proposal. And as a group, they write a research and innovation project proposal, and hopefully bid competition and get selected for funding. So each country you see before you contributes funds in order to have the right to participate in this program. And as I said before, Israel is doing it and doing it very well ever since 1996. And I know it's a hard concept to grasp, to digest if you first lay eyes on it, the consortium business. So I brought an example that can help understand it more easily. So this is a selected for funding project called HipGen. And it is in the area of health, and we have here a consortium of 10 different partners from 8 countries that won 7.5 million euros for a 5-year project from 2018 to this year. It will end later this year. And we can see here 4 different medical centers in different European countries, led by Charité Hospital from Berlin, and an Israeli small-medium enterprise called Pluristem that is developing, and what this project is all about, they're developing a stem cell-based therapy to help improve the recovery of patients who went through a hip replacement, followed by a fracture. So this is a multi-center clinical trial, phase 3 clinical trial, and this is what you can do and what you can get from, and a great example of what you can get from Horizon Europe funding scheme. And lastly, just one last slide, sorry for taking the time is an exception for that eligibility rule, which is very popular here in Israel, and Israel is doing very well in this funding scheme. It's called EAC Accelerator. So the general rule is you need to a consortia of at least 3 entities from 3 different countries, but here you can submit a proposal as a single entity. You don't need to assemble a consortium. They are offering a grant of between half to 2.5 million euros. And on top of that, you can also get up to 15 million euros as an equity investment. And you can choose if you want only the grant or you want grant and an investment. They're looking for small, medium enterprises. That is, you have a company that is less than 250 employees and a turnover of less than 50 million euros a year, which is most of the startups in the room, I guess. And they're looking for a high risk, a high impact, very close to market. You have to have a prototype that you already validated in the lab and you're ready to test it in the field, in the client site. It must be scalable. It's highly competitive. And what we do at ESERD is we help you navigate this great funding program of Horizon Europe, and all our services are for free, and the European funding is with great percentage of funding between 70 and 100%. It's non-diluted, except the AC, and you don't need to almost no matching, so it's a great opportunity.
Great. Thank you very much, Nir. I'm sorry that maybe we don't have enough time to go to all the details of the great work that ESERD is doing. I think that at this point, bearing in mind the time that we have left, are there any questions from the audience at this point regarding the particular programs or schemes that were presented by the different speakers? Okay, none at the moment. So a bit about us, since I have the mic. At the Foreign Trade Administration, at the Ministry of Economy and Industry, we are actually in charge of deploying the commercial attachés, the commercial diplomats working at the different embassies and providing hands-on assistance to the Israeli industry in world markets. I had the pleasure of starting my career in Switzerland, actually. I was there in Geneva between 2005 to 2010, and I've seen the evolution of the services that Lucas just presented right now. Switzerland was always very competitive, but I think more focused inwards about its competitiveness and also open to entrepreneurs coming from different parts of the world and trying to establish their project over there, looking for partners and support and so on. So congrats about that. Of course, we operate also in other continents, in Asia, in North America, etc. It's really easy to find us and use and take advantage of our services. With the time left, perhaps I would like to ask Marcus and Lucas to talk a bit perhaps about the success stories that you can share with us, if you can connect it to Israeli entrepreneurs, or rather the challenges that you see in terms of connecting the respective ecosystems. We heard a lot about what the Israeli government is doing in this regard, so perhaps you can share a bit about your perspective.
Thanks a lot, Amir. So we do have quite a few startups in Israel that went to Austria to found a subsidiary there. Daniel mentioned it before. And I think this is just a logical evolution. First, we have the corporates. We scout for them the best solutions in Israel. They work together. They get money from the Austrian government for the POC. Then they see the market potential, and then they set up a business there. So we've seen it for Chakratech, for example, for Keepers, and for many others. There are 37 companies, startup companies, that have set up business in Austria and made their European headquarters there. And let me just say, we're more towards the Israeli mentality than you think. We're not the strict Germans. We're the Mediterranean Germans, I would say. So feel free to come to us, approach us, and we'll help you with finding the right business partners, and then setting up business.
Looking at Vienna, that's the first thing comes to mind, Mediterranean, and yeah. exactly. But thank you.
Well, you were asking about the success story and as well as challenges. Let me start with success stories. I think we have a lot to offer, particularly when it comes to scaling companies. Just in the last 2 years, particularly during COVID, we had the pleasure to help various dozens of US as well as European companies to scale, to basically grow from 10, 15 employees to hundreds employees. The same did Google already, the same is Palantir doing as we speak, the same is being done by Oracle and so on. So I think Switzerland really became a good place to grow your business from a startup into a global company, and that's where we're really good at. The challenges, I mean, well, probably everyone in this room hearing Switzerland connotates Switzerland with high prices. That's one of the challenges we face, definitely. However, at the end of the day, we of course have to look at the full cost and not the perceived cost, but I can tell you, living in New York, being now in Tel Aviv, the cost is pretty much the same. But when it comes, of course, to salaries and so on, we have a constant negotiation with the different governments of our states, and of course also with the federal state, to bring the cost down for startups to do business. And in fact, looking at the full cost, Switzerland is absolutely comparable these days with Berlin, with Vienna, and other European jurisdictions.
Great, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Gili, you wanted a word?
Ami is a little modest, but he has a great team of staff, of our commercial attachés sitting and their teams in Munich and in Berlin, and they're helping startups and in Geneva, and they're here to help you guys with everything you need, anything business development, any reach out to companies, they're there. It's Esther who's sitting in Berlin, and Doron and his team are sitting in Munich. They're on the speaker list, they're on the one-on-one meeting platform, so you're very welcome to reach out to them and ask for their support.
Melachtam shel tzadikim, we say in Hebrew. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, panelists. It's a pleasure to have you today and get your insights. I would like to call upon the next speaker from the Baden-Württemberg area, Andreas Pfister. Please, the stage is yours. Thank you.